Good afternoon. Welcome to this February 21st meeting of the Early Childhood Subcommittee. We have two bills on our agenda for today, HB 415 and HB 593. We're going to start with 415 since this is a bill that we discussed at our last meeting. It is the bill that I'm sponsoring to create a pilot program on family literacy to be led by the State Library Agency. At the last meeting, if you might recall, we said that there might be amendments forthcoming based on some continuing conversations between the three state agencies that would be involved with implementing the legislation. I think in short, what the update is that there are no amendments. There have been some good conversations between the State Library Agency and corrections, basically about what implementation will look like. But good news is we do not need to make any changes to the bill. But I think our agencies that will be tasked with implementing this are now on the same page. So I think we are ready for a motion on this bill.
Move favorable, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so moved by Delegate Ebersol. We'll say it was seconded by Delegate Miracle North. Any discussion on the favorable motion for HB 415? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that one passes unanimously. Thank you, colleagues. Turning to the other bill on our agenda, House Bill 593. This is the legislation that we heard a couple weeks ago, offered by Delegate Boafo, to require public libraries to have an AED device or an automated external defibrillator in the library. Colleagues, there were amendments that were circulated this morning to everyone that we will walk through here in a moment. I will say I did share these with the bill sponsor as well as with the Heart Association, and I think we're all on the same page and are good to go. But in short, what the amendments do is they limit the scope of the bill in terms of which libraries would be applicable to each branch of a county library system and the Enoch Pratt Free Library. And then we go on to clarify or as I said, each branch. And we clarify that school libraries are not subject to the bill, nor are mobile library units. Otherwise, the major change in the amendments is to have the libraries need to conform with and participate in the existing statute and regulations around AED devices in other public buildings. There already is statute and regulations on this front. So instead of reinventing the wheel, we're just having the libraries conform with and comply with those requirements that already exist. Alistair, did I miss anything or anything you want to add? He's shaking his head no. Okay, so questions on the amendments?
Move the amendment, Madam Chair.
Okay. And Delegate Long will take your question here in a moment, but let's just see if there's a second on this motion for the amendments.
Second.
Okay, moved by Delegate Ebersol, seconded by Delegate Wims, and yes, Delegate Long. Do you have a question?
The costs are still the same.
Yes, I think the cost to the state will likely go down because the bill is introduced, assumed that correctional facilities would be among the institutions that would install AEDs, and they've been taken out. So likely the cost is probably around $6,000 for the Enoch Pratt Free Library.
Did you have did you have an estimate of cost for, I think, for all the libraries? I mean,
and I'll note that we did hear from a number of libraries that they already have AEDs, or at least they have it in some of their units. The fiscal note, I think specifically the cost was based off of what corrections was saying it was going to cost to include in the prison libraries. But since they've been amended out of the bill, I think the estimate in the fiscal note has largely been negated, as Alistair was just saying. But I think the cost per unit, so potentially per library that does not already have an AED, is about $6,000.
okay. Thank you.
I have one question, if I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, Delegate Ebersol.
Just checking, is there any requirement for training of library personnel, or is it just in the bill?
We struck that particular provision. The existing part of statute that we are kind of adding into this bill or conforming with does require that each library designate an AED coordinator who has to maintain certain training and keep certain protocols and maintenance of the unit and all of that. But it'd be one person basically per library who'd be tasked with that.
Glad to hear it. Thank you.
Other discussion or questions? Okay, if not, then we have a favorable motion on the amendments. All those in favor of the amendments, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? The amendments are adopted unanimously. Is there a is there a motion on the bill as amended?
All favorable.
Second.
Okay, moved by Delegate Young, seconded by Delegate Wims. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that bill also comes out with a favorable recommendation unanimously. So that is it for our work today. Thank you all colleagues. Hope you have a great weekend.